Okay, so you've done it. You've just installed Linux. The desktop is fresh, it's clean, and it's totally empty. Suddenly, that single terrifying question that hits every new user flashes in your mind. And today, we're going to answer it. Exactly. This is the moment of panic, right? Where are all the applications you rely on every single day? Well, the good news is, you're not just going to find replacements. You're going to discover that in a lot of cases, you might just find something way, way better. All right, first things first, the essentials. Before we get into all the cool, fun stuff, we got to make sure you can still get your job done. Write those reports, crunch the numbers, and deal with that overflowing inbox. Let's make sure your workflow doesn't miss a single beat. Now, let's get the big one, the elephant in the room, out of the way. You cannot install the desktop version of Microsoft Office 365 on Linux. But, and this is a big but, do not click away, because that is absolutely not the end of the story. You have some incredibly powerful paths forward. So here's how you choose your path. Think about it like this. Are you constantly sending Word docs back and forth with colleagues who are gonna notice if a single comma is out of place? Then your non-negotiable is perfect compatibility. You're gonna want only Office. Or maybe you're an Excel wizard whose spreadsheets make lesser computers just weep. You need the raw power of LibreOffice. Or hey, do you just need to quickly edit a document without any fuss? The web apps are so good now, you might not even notice you're in a browser. Let's really drill down on this for a second, because the number one fear, let's be honest, is opening a Word document from your boss and seeing a Picasso painting of broken formatting. Only Office solves this. It's built from the ground up to handle Microsoft's file formats, so what you see is exactly what they see. End of story. On the other side of the coin, you've got the open source champion LibreOffice. And what's really amazing about this tool is its raw power. I mean, we're talking about data sets and complex documents that can literally bring Microsoft Excel to its knees. LibreOffice, it just handles it. No questions asked. And rounding out your productivity suite is just as seamless. Forget about paying a subscription just to sign a PDF. Super fast and clean apps like Ocular have you totally covered. And for email? Look, while a powerful desktop client like Mozilla's Thunderbird is there if you want it, let's be real, most of us are already living in Gmail or Outlook on the web, which works exactly the same here. All right, let's tackle the boss-level creative work. For years, the story was that if you were a designer, a video editor, or an artist, you were just locked into the Adobe ecosystem. That is simply not true anymore, not even close. And this right here, this image changes the entire conversation. We're not talking about some free alternative to Adobe Premiere Pro. No. DaVinci Resolve is what Hollywood studios use for color grading on blockbuster films. It runs natively on Linux, and here's the kicker. Many industry pros swear it runs better and more stably on Linux than it does on Windows. This isn't a replacement, people. For many, this is an upgrade. And the rest of your creative workflow just falls right into place. For digital painting that rivals Photoshop, you have the incredible world-class tool Krita. For vector graphics, you can move seamlessly from Adobe Illustrator to Inkscape. For powerful photo editing, GIMP is the classic, super capable choice. And for audio production, Audacity is the go-to for podcasters and musicians everywhere. So whether you're designing a complex vector logo in Inkscape or laying down the tracks for your next podcast in Audacity, the point is the same. These tools aren't just available. They are mature, professional-grade applications that cover the entire creative workflow, all without a single subscription fee. Now, let's talk about a group that often leads the charge to Linux, developers. For them, this transition is probably the easiest of all. In fact, most developers who switch to Linux never, ever look back. And the reason why is pretty simple. The tools they depend on were built for this environment from the very start. Visual Studio Code runs perfectly. The entire suite of professional JetBrains IDEs, like PyCharm and IntelliJ, totally native. And Docker, oh man. Docker is an absolute game changer on Linux. And this is a huge deal. Seriously. On Windows or Mac, Docker has to run inside this big, clunky, resource-hungry virtual machine. It's like having a whole other computer running inside your computer. But on Linux, it just runs natively. What does that actually mean for you? It's faster, it uses way less RAM, and your whole development process just feels snappier. And of course, there's the terminal. On Windows, the command line can feel like a chore, right? On Linux, it's your superpower. It's the key to automating your entire workflow with simple scripts and installing pretty much any piece of software with a single command. It's just lightning fast. Now, I want to talk about something that's a game changer for everyone, not just one type of user. It's about how you install software, and trust me, it's a massive improvement over the old way of doing things. Meet the Flatpak. The easiest way to think of it is like a self-contained box for your application. Everything the app needs to run is inside that box. It doesn't mess with your core system files, which makes your whole computer incredibly safe and stable. Let's just compare this directly. You know the Windows way, right? You run an installer, it sprays files all over your system, and then it's a total nightmare to uninstall completely. The Flatpak way is clean, you install the app, it runs in its own little box, you uninstall it, and it's gone, completely, no leftover junk. So, after looking at office work, creative suites, and developer tools, what's the final verdict on making the swap? Well, for one, it's about this, and that's not a random number. That's hundreds, potentially over $1,000 a year that you could save in subscription fees for software like Microsoft Office and Adobe Creative Cloud. Almost every single pro-grade tool we've talked about today is completely free. And that brings us to the most crucial point of all of this. This whole thing isn't about making a compromise or giving up the tools you know. It's about opening the door to new tools that are often more powerful, more respectful of your privacy, and completely free. It's an upgrade. So I'll leave you with this question. Just think about your own workflow. What is the one application that's holding you back, that's making you hesitate about making the switch? Because chances are, there's a powerful, ready-to-use solution just waiting for you on the other side.